Hi, good morning everyone. We're here at the Independent Sector Conference in Miami. My name is Heather Mansfield and I'm the blogger at Nonprofit Tech for Good and the voice behind Nonprofit Orgs on Twitter. And I'm here today with Dave Stewart of the Public Interest Registry. And we're going to do about a 3 to 4 minute interview, and then we're going to give a tour of the booth. And then throughout the day, I'm just going to kind of play off the cuff and experiment with Periscope, and we'll see how it goes. So
I'm glad to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, there you go, first interview. So Dave, tell me a little bit about how you came to work at the Public Interest Registry.
So I joined Public Interest Registry about 15 months ago. I've been in the domain industry for a long time, and it was certainly a contrast for me when I came to Public Interest Registry to find an organisation that is so founded in the local NGO communities around the world. I was very fortunate to pick up the ball when I landed at PIR to find 40 countries over 3 years. The organisation had been out talking to NGOs, understanding their pain points in the community,
Right.
understanding how they're not, the challenges that they're finding in using the internet to try and promote their mission, trying to achieve their goals.
It's quite different if they're in Bangladesh or Bolivia or
Every country's got its nuances, but you'd be surprised. There's a lot of commonality between them as well. The internet is actually very intimidating to a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Trying to find a way to get online for a start is one thing, but then to set up a web page, to make sure the content is engaging, is meaningful, tells your story. And then one of the biggest challenges we found is how do they validate themselves? How do they show the world that they're a legitimate NGO?
And what do you mean by validate?
So, you may have heard the term briefcase NGOs. There's an issue in Haiti, and all of a sudden all of these NGOs pop up, supposedly NGOs pop up. And really what they are is they're a front for someone trying to raise some money and make some money out of it. So those are the NGOs that are legitimate, that are focused on their mission, that are true non-profits, are getting mixed up online. They're blended in with the other briefcase NGOs, and so what they're looking for is a way to stand out.
Right.
And that's where Public Interest Registry came up with the idea of .ngo.
Right.
And .ngo is a domain name that's validated. It's just for legitimate NGOs. It allows them to be validated and to show that online. So when you go to their website and use the .ngo extension, you know that you're dealing with a legitimate NGO.
I keep thinking about who's going to be the first NGO to send me an email using the .ngo domain.
That's
right?
a great question.
So I signed up for healthcare.gov, and I know when I'm getting emails from healthcare.gov that that's the legitimate government organization.
Right.
So I just wonder, in the history of .ngo, we got some popcorn over here. Who will be
part of being on the floor, right?
We're on Periscope. We can be so maybe move over here.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
Let's go and take a look.
Like, that's going to be an important moment in the history of the nonprofit sector and the NGO sector using the internet. The first time I get an NGO email.
So we went live back in the middle of the year, and since then we've had 2,700 .ngo domain names registered.
That's great.
And we couple it with a .ong for the Spanish languages, so when you buy one you get both of them, so there's no mix up there.
Right.
And we've got about 1,800 organisations that are using the extension, so that first email shouldn't be too far away.
It should be coming soon. Yeah, that's exciting.
I put a call out for anyone that's on the On Good platform, any of our NGO customers.
Yeah.
Try and find Heather, send her an email so that you can be the first.
You'll be the one. I'll talk about you in webinars. And you know, that kind of brings up a story I remember during the Cecil the Lion tragedy, right? There was a website that was popped up and it turned out to be fake. And I was thinking, you know, in the future, 5-10 years from now, when this is common, this just won't happen. People will know. They were questioning this website as to whether it was real.
Yep.
And you could see in the comments, is this real? But it had raised over $20,000, and it came out over time that it wasn't real.
Right.
But if it was using the .ngo or .ong domain, you would just know it was real because it went through the validation process on OnGood.
And look, we're on the cutting edge of innovation here. The internet evolves, it changes, new technologies come to address issues like this. So Public Interest Registry has been running the .org domain registry now for 12 years.
Right.
We have 10.5 million .org customers around the world. A lot of people believe it's for non-profits. It's not. It's an open, top-level domain. It's an open extension. Anyone can get it.
Yeah.
It's becoming very popular for corporate social responsibility programs.
Right.
So a lot of companies talk about their .com and their .org activities, right?
Exactly.
And social entrepreneurship is becoming a big space for it. So we'd heard from the community that what they considered, the non-profit community, what they considered to be their space was now kind of becoming a little bit... shifted a bit, and it was good, it was inclusive, it was allowing other organisations, they may not be non-profits, but their intentions are towards social improvement, to use the brand around .org to help move forward that mission. But what we've heard of many of these non-profits and NGOs looking for something that's unique to them, and that they can stand up and say, I am a legitimate NGO by
I actually think it's a big deal. It's kind of a nerdy, geeky thing, you know, domains, but it is a big deal. And I was around in the late 90s, and, you know, one of the first working at a nonprofit to buy the .org domain. And that was only 20 years ago. So thinking about where the domain space and nonprofit technology and NGO technology, where it's going to be in 10 years, you know, it's just a drop in the bucket. So of course things are going to change. .org's evolving, .NGO and ONG are coming. You know, so it may seem like a simple thing, but it's actually a big thing.
Dave, your viewers want to know, is there an additional cost with getting .ngo versus .ong? Versus .org, and how do you get validated?
So there is a similar model between .org and .ngo in that it's an annual subscription. We at Public Interest Registry, we sell it wholesale through our distributors. So we have distributors around the world that you can buy it from. NSET is one of our distributors that's actually a subsidiary of Public Interest Registry. So we actually charge a $30 wholesale fee. Now that $30 wholesale fee can be marked up, it can be discounted at a retail level. So the idea for our customers is to shop around, see what's the best deal in the marketplace, make sure that where you're buying your .ngo is from an organisation that gives you the service that you want. Now, I will say that that price is higher than we do for .org, and as I said, .org is open, there's no validation. So you are paying for a much higher level of identity that's validated that you can use for your website.
Which requires a human being to be there to go through the validation process.
Correct.
Right? So that's not free, right?
It's not free, it takes a lot of work. We've actually collected a little over 4 million records from around the world that we validate NGOs against. We have over 108 countries where we have credentials collected that represent their local jurisdiction on their validation. So we're not centralising the validation. We're not the ones putting our hands up saying, we say you're a legitimate NGO. What we're doing is we're collecting globally those local jurisdictions, how those NGOs are being registered, and we're checking against those records before the .ngo domain is given to them.
And my guess is it'll probably take a decade for you to even break even.
It is, so financial sustainability for Public Interest Registry, we've been very fortunate with the .org business, and we are investing in what we believe is the right thing. You know, I talked earlier about our mission, our product design is based in the grassroots, the local NGO communities across the globe, and we are investing in this heavily. So it's not an immediate return. Our executives and our board all understand this is investment in the long term.
And the Public Interest Registry is a non-profit too.
We are a non-profit, that's correct. And we work with a relationship with the Internet Society. We absolutely are a non-profit.
And one other question your viewers have is, will there be an opportunity for them to get assistance transferring their .org website to a .ngo website, or how do they go about doing that?
So what I would recommend first of all is, if there are customers out there of .org that have invested in the brand, they have a website that's active today, I would not suggest giving that up. What I would suggest you do to begin with is get your .ngo registered, go through the validation process, and once you've done that, is have that forwarded to your .org. Okay, that way you've got the name you want, you secured it, and anyone that types it in, they're going to be taken to the content and the branded website that you have today.
So like a redirect. So if, say for example, Amnesty International, they were to use amnesty.ngo, but they weren't ready to change the branding. So amnesty.ngo would just automatically redirect to amnesty.org.
And you can do that.
And that's free, right? I think you can do that through...
Generally it's free. Some registrars, so they're our distributors, some of them do charge for a forwarding service. So again, shop around, see what is the best that you can get. But generally at a very low cost, if anything, you can have that domain forwarded to your .org.
So that's really smart for people that don't want to make a decision right now. They could get the domain, they could hold on to it. I remember when we bought .org domains in the 90s, sometimes you would hold them for 3 or 4 years before you were ready to actually launch a website.
It is, and look, it's on us at Public Interest Registry to continue to work with the community and evolve the service and make sure that the value is there and the brand builds over time. We're in it for the long haul. We're going to be here investing in this service for many years to come, and we're going to be patient about it. So I would ask the customers the same thing. We want you guys using the domain, but we know you're invested in the brand at .org. So don't jump ship off that .org straight away. Get your NGO, start using it. And as we build awareness, and this is something that we'll do, so whether it's donors or volunteers or other NGOs, as we build awareness around what .ngo means, that's when you can really start utilizing it.
Right. Last question. I'm thinking of India. So when I went to India, they say our NGO. They don't say our nonprofit. Like NGO is the common term. So maybe in a country where NGO is the default term for charity or nonprofit or not-for-profit, is that any different? Do you think, it's really fascinating how many NGOs in India are coming online. So can you look into a crystal ball and think, if they had the choice, are they going to go with .org, or do you think it's going to make more sense for them to go with .ngo?
So I would say both. But let me go to your point around the nomenclature around .ngo. So we've various different market sources will tell you there's roughly 10 to 11 million NGOs. Some of them consider themselves to be non-profits to their local nomenclature. Some of them consider themselves to be charities. But what we're finding is that the term NGO is becoming more common. It's becoming more universal. There's no single one name for what we do.
And what does NGO stand for? Just
non-governmental organisations. And I'll go back to my point also. I just want to add, for the Romance languages, for French, Italian, Spanish and Portuguese, there's ONG.ngo, and we actually make sure that you get both when you register one, you get the other one. So there's no confusion.
When you register.
You register your .ngo, you will get ONG and vice versa.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Here, 1 second. Let me take this and show the person behind. That's Megan Soper. She tweets at On Good. There you go. And what's this? Last thing. Tell me what this is.
Well, we have to have a little bit of fun here, Heather. So,
I know.
So this is our Jenga, and what you do is you get a chance to pull out one of the blocks. Anyone not familiar with Jenga, you got to pull out a block without knocking it over. This one's pretty tight, but if you can pull one out, oh, look at that. All right, so that one doesn't have an NGO fact in it, but if you get one that has an NGO fact in it, and there's one of them, then you get to choose one of the prizes which we have on the shelf in the booth here. There's t-shirts, sunglasses, lip balm, the Tide sticks for getting stains out of your shirts. They're all good. So we're going to have a little fun with the people that come by the booth today.
Fantastic. And you can actually search for NGO Facts, hashtag NGO Facts on Twitter.
There we go.
I think that's it. I got to get ready. We're going to do a 20-minute presentation. I'm going to do it. Still always to this day nervous speaking in public, and now we're going to do it on Periscope, but in about 30 minutes. So thanks everybody. That was our first official Periscope.
Come here in. Nice work.
All right.
I look forward to your session. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks everybody.